ESO Martin, and I will be reading an excerpt from my short story, Survival Strategies for the Zombie Apocalypse. Annika falls in love with the cabin the moment Preston pulls off the highway onto the dirt road. Tree branches scrape against the truck. The sounds of civilization disappear into the distance. Annika sits wide-eyed, her face pressed up against the window. A foggy circle forms by her mouth. The air is cleaner at this altitude. It smells cool and sweet, and the light filtering through the forest canopy has a crystalline quality, sharp and crisp, like fresh prescription lenses in an old pair of glasses. Outside is silent except for the tick of the engine and the chirping of the birds. Her whole life she has felt like she was on borrowed time. $6 a cup to sit here, $10 an hour to park there, $2,000 a month to live indoors. Put a quarter in a parking meter and hear its mechanism count down the seconds. Time's up. Annika never felt like she had a right to space. At any moment, someone with more money and more power could swoop down and evict you. But here, away from the noise and the smog and the pressures of the city, she feels as if she and Preston are the only man and woman on Earth. They are homesteaders staking their claim. She breathes deep and feels herself stand straighter. Her shoulders are light, as if she has set down a heavy backpack she didn't even know she'd been wearing. This is Eden, she thinks. The property is a mile away from the highway, and it's protected by 3 acres of forest: sugar pine, incense cedar, white fir. A small creek marks the property line. Though there are a handful of hunters' cabins in the vicinity, they're mostly vacant outside of deer season. The cabin has electricity, a refrigerator, and indoor plumbing. It has a cast iron wood-burning stove, there's a telephone, a radio, that's it. No cell phone service, no TV, no internet, no mailbox. Maybe they aren't completely off the grid, Preston says, but the place is remote enough that they might as well be. If either of them got seriously hurt, it would be at least 3 hours before help could arrive. If at all. And there are plenty of ways to get hurt. Coyotes, black bears, ticks, rattlesnakes, wildfires, exposure, infection, thirst, starvation, and that was all before the snow fell. In the winter, the temperatures would hover just around freezing so that the land would accumulate an immense amount of snow. 5 feet on a dry year, 10 to 30 feet on average. It wasn't uncommon to have to tunnel down to the front door. Preston introduces Annika to the idea of expedition behavior. When you're on an expedition, you should be especially careful because you aren't just putting yourself at risk, but the entire team, Preston says. It's important to be able to read your environment. The more you know, the less likely you are to make a stupid mistake. Annika soaks up everything Preston has to say. He teaches her how to plug a flat tire, how to siphon gas, how to put chains on the truck, how to take her bearings in the woods, and all the basic knots she'll need to tie their groceries onto a sled so they can pull it up to the cabin. They nail reflective markers to the trees so that they will be able to find their way home in the dark. Preston teaches her how to chop wood, how to use the chainsaw, how to rock the truck out of a snowbank, how to use a shotgun. He teaches her how to do a 4-wheel power slide on icy roads. Before snow falls that November, Preston works the chainsaw on the property, clearing a fire line around the cabin and selectively cutting dead trees into rounds for their fireplace. They will need 6 cords of wood to heat the cabin for the winter. Annika stacks wood under the porch. At one point, Preston wraps a rope around a tree leaning dangerously over the roof. He twists the rope around another tree before tying it to the truck's ball hitch. "Keep the engine in gear and tension on the line," he says. "I'll work the chainsaw. When you see me running, hit the gas." "Are you sure this is expedition behavior?" "You drive that way, I run that way, the tree falls that way," he says, pointing in 3 different directions. He shrugs. "No problem." As she sits in the truck with its seat pushed all the way forward so her feet can reach the pedals, and as she feels the vibration of the engine, Annika's whole body is humming. She thinks, this is one of those top 5 moments so potent and exhilarating that you carry them with you for the rest of your life. And when you're on your deathbed and your life flickers before your eyes like a New Year's countdown, it's your top 5 that will make you sigh, lean back your head into your pillow and say, "Yeah, I lived a full life. I really squeezed that lemon." Now she hears a crack and sees Preston running through the woods. Now! She slams her foot on the gas. The truck inches forward. Wheels flick mud into the trees. The car skids, slides sideways. The engine roars, and behind her, a loud moan. The sound of snapping woods as the heavy tree breaks branches on its way down. The crash shakes the ground. Pine needles shiver in the air. That's it, Preston shouts. Annika opens the door for a look. Preston's standing with one foot on the tree trunk, like a big game hunter posing with his trophy. Relief floods her chest. No broken bones, no injury. Preston has a big, toothy grin on his face. The tree fell exactly where he said it would. Yee-haw, he says.